John Maxwell's office. Hello. Help you, I must.
Yeah, this is Clay Clark. I'm trying to reach John Maxwell.
Yoda, you seek leadership. Yoda.
I guess you could call him that. I mean, he has sold 20 million books, and he's been the speaker of choice for the NFL, Keller Williams, Delta Airlines, pretty much everybody. Is he available?
In due time, take you to him I will. But first, we must eat.
This is a live call-in podcast kind of a deal. I don't know that it's going to go over super well, with all of our hundreds of thousands of listeners listening to you and I eat.
No. Impatient you are.
Please, I promise, if this goes well, you and I are going to get together in the future, and we can levitate rocks together. It's going to be awesome.
Patience you must have, my young Padawan. Transfer you now, I will.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrivetime Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes. Ladies and gentlemen, on today's show, we have the opportunity to interview a legendary leadership expert and a multiple-time New York Times best-selling author who has sold over 20 million copies of his books throughout his career. Throughout John Maxwell's career, he has served as a senior pastor of multiple churches, and he's been the keynote speaker of choice for the United States Military Academy at West Point, the National Football League, Keller Williams, Delta Airlines, Microsoft, and countless Fortune 500 companies. I first read John's book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, on a 7-day Caribbean cruise in 2003 when my multi-million-dollar company, DJ Connection, was imploding as a result of great marketing and great sales and poor leadership and management skills. John, your book sincerely changed my life. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. John Maxwell onto the show. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm excited to be with you, Clay. My gosh, I mean, with that intro, why wouldn't I be excited? I think everybody's excited. So good to have some time with you and your listeners, that's for sure.
John, I remember being on the cruise ship. It was a Princess Cruise Line. I'm reading through the book, and as I'm flipping through the pages, I'm going, oh no, everything that he's telling people to do, I'm not doing. And so I'd like to start with the law of the lid. That was the one that I read, and I go, uh-oh. Can you please explain to the listeners what the law of the lid is all about?
Yeah, I sure can, Clay. It's life-changing. The law of the lid basically says how well you lead determines how well you succeed. And to illustrate it the best way I can is if from a 1 to a 10, I'm an average leader, I'm a 5, well, then that 5 represents my lid. And what that means is my organization is going to be a 4, a 3, a 2, or 1. It's impossible for my organization to rise above that lid. So whatever I am as a leader is going to contain what I'm leading. And, but if that's discouraging to a person, the encouraging part is that you can learn to lead. You can learn to grow as a leader. You can be better. So you can go from, if you're average, you can go from a 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. And every time I raise my lid, I raise the potential of my organization also. And that law has clear back when I was 25, I became convinced that everything rises and falls on leadership. That if leadership's good, good things happen. If leadership's bad things happen. And so that law has been kind of my life stance in leadership for a lot of years. I just know it's to be a true law. And so I love leadership, and I love helping people learn to lead. And what I really help doing is lifting the lid for people and helping them go higher. So hopefully after you read the book on the cruise, you got the lid lifted a little bit, buddy.
Well, I highlighted pretty much every part of every page in the book. And I got back to Tulsa, and I thought, I've got a lot of work to do. And one of the things I did is I did a deep dive into you, because the laws you were teaching were really, really powerful, but I thought, but who is John Maxwell? You know, I think a lot of people know your name, but they don't know your background, and I certainly didn't at the time. Could you share with the listeners a little bit about your background before becoming the best-selling author and leadership expert that people now know you as today? What were you doing before that?
Well, I was a pastor. I'm a theologue, and grew up in a leadership home, but grew up in a home where my father was a pastor. And so when I graduated from college, I went to my first little church in Hillham, Indiana, and had 3 people the first Sunday, and 2 of them were my wife, Margaret, and me, and away we go.
Nice.
Of course, I didn't know anything about leadership. And but I realized very quickly if I was going to grow that church, I was going to have to know a lot about leadership. And so I began to be consumed by it and read it and study it and practice it. And the more that I did dive into leadership, the more I realized that that was essential. So by the time I was 29, I had the 10th largest church in America, and people were coming to me and asking me how I did it. And really, I did it by leadership principles. And by the way, everything I know, Clay, about leadership, everything is out of the Bible. Everything. In fact, when I'm in a secular conference and I'm doing some interactive Q&A, whatever, and sometimes, once in a while, not often, my faith will come up or whatever, and I'll just basically tell them, everything I know about leadership I learned from the Bible, and I'll see this kind of disappointment look on their face, and then I'll say, no, let me explain something to you. Everything you know about leadership came out of the Bible too. And it's a huge exercise. I'll say, okay, give me your greatest leadership thought, and I'll give you a biblical principle right off of it. And it's, oh my gosh, it's like magic, because all of a sudden they're saying, wow, you mean this has biblical roots? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So I was a pastor, and I started writing books to help pastors learn how to lead, because I had 3 degrees and never had a leadership course in any of my 3 studies or degrees. And so I thought, I've got to somebody's got to teach these leaders how to lead, these pastors. And so I started writing books for them. And I was with my publisher, and we were having a publishers meeting in 1995, and my books were really doing well. And so they had done some research on it. They came and they said something that shocked me. They said, 2/3 of your book are not bought by the Christian community at all. They're bought in secular bookstores by the business community. Literally, at that moment, I knew I needed to make a leader shift. I needed to go over there, because I have a heart for sharing my faith and evangelism. And I thought, wow, this will give me an opportunity to have an audience that very few people in my area get. And so I made plans, I had a large church in San Diego, so it took a couple years for me to put that church where it needed to be so I could make that change. But then I crossed over into the secular world, and that's where I've spent, the last 20 plus years. I've been just trying to be salt and light over there.
I would like to get into your new book that you are releasing here. I'm super excited about it. I'm excited to read the book, to dive into the book. I had an advanced copy, so I was able to really take some notes and put some questions together. But I promised Pastor Randy Frazee and Pastor Brady Boyd that I would tell you hello. I interviewed them yesterday, and they said, you got to tell them hello. So hopefully you know those guys. Hopefully they're not randos. I'm just not making up names here.
No, both those boys they're the real deal. And I'll bet you had a great time with them, didn't you?
I did. But here's the deal. Pastor Frazee is from, he has family from Frazee, Minnesota. Turns out he's related to my uncle.
Oh, okay.
My uncle's grandfather started Frazee, Minnesota. It's a town of 1,000 people. And I'm just randomly, he happened to know the guy. And then Tim Redmond, who is one of the business consultants I work with, he was actually quoted in your book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. So I feel like this is a divine appointment. And now I must ask you, this book, Leadership, what first inspired you to write your newest book, my friend?
Well, I've been doing leadership now since I was 25. I'm 71. And what I've noticed is that in my life, leadership changes. And And the ones who are successful in leading people are the ones who are constantly making these adjustments and have an agility to them. And all of a sudden I thought, I don't see anybody writing about this or helping them understand that these adjustments are natural adjustments and that they're going to go through them. And especially in our day and age, oh my gosh, with social media, speed is everything. I was getting ready to do a conference for a company recently, and their theme was fast forward. And so they asked me what I thought about the theme. I said, I think it's good. And I broke it down. I said, fast to me means faster than ever. I mean, when people say, well, I just don't want to make a decision till things slow down. I say, you're never going to make a decision because they're not slowing down. So with social media and everything else going, fast is faster and forward shorter. When I start off leading, you can have a 10-year long-range plan, a 5-year mid-range, 2-year short-range. Now, a long-range plan is about 18 months. I mean, it's shorter for fast, So when you look out into the future, you just realize it's going faster. And so I wrote this book because I haven't seen anybody writing on shifting, the shifts that you need to make, the changes that you need to make. And when you put that in the context, Clay, that leaders, what leaders all have in common is they see more than others see. They see the bigger picture, and they see before others see. And the moment, what's that?
I was going to say, you have that. I feel like you have a pulse on what people need to hear now. I don't know if that's a prayerful thing, if that's because you're speaking so much, you're meeting leaders, but you have this knack for writing a book right now that the world needs to hear right now. I'm sorry to cut you off. It just had a little Skype cut off there, but it seems like that's your knack.
I think so. I think what happens, Clay, well, first of all, I have 6 companies, so I'm leading all the time. So I'm in the leadership game. I'm not just a teacher on leadership. I have to lead companies. And so I've got that. And then I'm out speaking all the time. And I'm with, other great leaders and interacting in green rooms and things like that. So I just get a lot of great exposure. And most all of my books, I speak them first in teaching and lectures, and I find out what catches on or what everybody's kind of saying. This is really helpful. But I am very current, and I'm very excited about this book because, okay, it's not how fast you are; it's getting started first. So let me explain. I was having dinner with Gail Devers, who many of your listeners would recognize that name. She was the terrific Olympic track athlete from the United States. Won Olympic medals in 3 different Olympics. So incredible. In fact, when I was having dinner with her and her husband, she was getting ready. She was training for her 4th Olympics, and she had been reading some of my stuff, and she had some questions she wanted to ask. So we had dinner, and so I thought I'd have fun with her toward the end of dinner. I said, Gail, I've been thinking about this. I think I could. I think if you and I ran a 100-yard race, I could win. And she looked at me, with huge disbelief. In fact, she looked around and said, did you hear that? He thinks he, and then she looks back at me, and she's looking at the Pillsbury Doughboy. She can't handle this boldness. And I got her to the place where she's ready to take off her shoes and go out front. We're going to run a block and have a little race. And then I said, now, Gail, before we go out and run, let me explain something to you. I believe I could win a 100-yard race with you if I had an 80-yard head start. And she started laughing. She said, well, of course you could. Now, I'll be honest with you, Clay, I really wanted to say 70 yards, but I wasn't sure I could pull that one off. So right. I wanted to make sure. So I said 80. And of course, here's the principle. It's not how fast you are determines who wins the race. It's who starts first. And excuse me for a moment. And so leader shifting is all about starting first. If you see more than others see and you see before others see, then what you need is you need to start. You need to start shifting. You need to start moving in that direction. You need to be fluid. And so in the book Leadership, I talk about 11 of those shifts that I have made in my years of leadership. And those aren't the only 11. There are probably 30 or 40, but I'm telling my journey, and the 11 that I went through, I know this, anybody wants to lead well, they're going to have to go through those same shifts in their life. So I just had a blast laying it out and kind of basically just talking out of my experience of what I've learned and how a person could really kind of be adjustable and agile and move quick and take advantage of this day that we live in.
John, did Gail Devers still have these super long fingernails?
Yes, she did.
Okay,
Yes,
just curious.
she
I'm
did.
just curious. I wanted to know. That's something I've always wondered. So I'm just curious if she decided to.
Yeah.
She still has long fingernails, even post-track career.
Yeah, not for me. I mean, she didn't change it for me, that's for sure.
Well, I didn't know because I mean she's super fast. I didn't know if it would mess with her aerodynamicness with the long fingernails if she'd ever
I have no
change them.
idea.
Okay, now
I have no idea.
your
I
book.
just know that I can win a race with her if I have an 80-yard head start. That's what I know.
Well, you as a writer, what makes your book so fun to read is you put stories in there, you put quotes in there, and there's a ton of research. You put the stories, you put the quotes, you put the research, and then there's actionable items. There's things you can do. You're not sitting around going, well, this is fascinating. What do I do? It's very specific. What did your process look like for writing this book, The Leader Shift?
Well, the process was very simple. I just went back and I went into myself, first of all, and said, okay, what shifts did I make? And I started writing them down. And then I always stay inside long enough to say, now what personal illustrations do I have? And then what I always do is I start talking to my leadership friends. And I start talking to them about my idea and asking them what they think and bouncing off of them. And they began to add incredibly to my thinking. And there's no such thing as a great thought coming from a single person. A great thought is a combination of several good thoughts. And so I just really direct my questions and my relationships probably for up to a year while I'm getting ready to write the book, and even while I'm writing the book, to other really successful leaders. And I pull from them and learn from them, and they give me more added thoughts and materials and ideas. But when it's all done, the thing that I think is so important, Clay, for the reader of the book is again, so what? Okay, now that I understand these are shifts I have to make, how do I do that? How do I make these shifts? And there's no transformation without application. And so what I do is in all of my books, I always have an application section. I'm basically, okay, you read the chapter. So what? Let's talk about now. What are the 3-4 things we need to pull out of that chapter and apply to our life so we can be successful in that area? Whenever I speak, whenever I write, I always ask myself 2 questions, Clay. What do I want the reader to know, and what do I want the reader to do? Or if I was speaking to an audience, what do I want the audience to know? What I want them to do? So clarity, as far as here's the lesson, here's the teaching, here's the principle, and then application. Okay, now that you know that, here's what I want you to do, and put the two of them together. It becomes pretty powerful.
John, you'll probably disagree with the parts of your book that I highlighted, but I was highlighting a lot of them. So I'm just going to read some of the ones that I highlighted, and I'd like to have you break them down because I probably missed the biggest nuggets with my dense mind, but this is what I highlighted. In The Leader Shift, you write, one of the first and most important shifts anyone must make to become a leader is to move from a soloist to a conductor, is from soloist to conductor. You can be a successful person on your own, but not a successful leader. Could you break down what you mean by this?
Yeah, well, if I'm a soloist, Clay, it's all about me. Everything features me. The spotlight's on me. The orchestra behind me is playing my song. Everything is to lift me up, and I'm the star. I'm the soloist. And one of the things that leaders do immediately, Clay, is they realize that it is not about them. It's really about others. And so a lot of people never make that shift because they want it to be about them. And so I think almost the first shift every leader has to face is, do I want it to be about me, or do I want it to be about others? If I want it to be about me, if I lead, it'll be a very small group. If I want it to be about others, then wow, it can become huge. And I started the book with that because I think that's tackling the first issue. And if I just say I'm going to be a conductor, then I'm ready to go make some other shifts in my life. If I'm going to be a soloist, that's a whole different deal. I love the statement that I use in my Laws of Teamwork book that says, one is too small of a number to achieve greatness. And it really is. And if you're going to climb Mount Everest, you're going to have people around you. You got to have a team. If you're just going to take a hill out back behind your backyard, you can probably put on your tennis shoes and climb the hill by yourself. But the big stuff, you can't go by yourself. And so the shift has to be made sometime. Basically, how big is my dream? How big is my team? And a nightmare is a big dream and a bad team. Oh, gosh, that's a nightmare. And so you got to learn to be a conductor. You got to begin to lead and point to and feature the strengths of the orchestra, not your strengths.
John, I don't expect you to have done exhaustive research on me like I did on you. I did kind of creeper level research on you, before interviewing you. But when I read your book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, I remember I had a company called DJConnection.com, one of the first multi-million-dollar companies I had ever started. It was before I sold it, it was the largest wedding entertainment company in the country. And I realized, oh no, everything is about me. It's all about me. I've got the law of the lead. I'm a soloist. Why do you feel like that I was able to implement and have success when so many other people maybe read a book and then don't implement? I mean, why do you feel? I just want to, because I know there's somebody out there who maybe reads some of your books and then doesn't apply. I would like for you to speak into the lives of the people out there that have, why are some people able to implement and some people not? Help us implement.
Well, I think anyone could implement. I don't think it's can I apply it to my life. I think will I apply it to my life? Whenever I look at a person, I always ask the question, are people, can they and will they? Can they has to do with ability. Will they has to do with attitude. And I anybody can apply. The reason that you learned from the book and applied that book to your life, Clay, is very simple. You're teachable. You have a teachable spirit. A teachable spirit is a spirit that wants to learn and is willing to change. And it has to be both, wants to learn and is willing to change. See, learning in itself is not going to do it for you. The greatest gap in the world is a gap between knowing and doing. So when a person says, well, I'm learning something, well, that's nice. The question I have is, are you improving? Mm. And improvement is where the application comes in. You can know something and still not do something. You've got to flesh it out. And I think that you were teachable, which meant that you were willing to learn and wanting to learn, and you were willing to change. And boy, when you put the combination of I'm willing to be teachable, I'm willing to learn from you. You got something to teach me that's going to help me. But not only is it going to help me, I'm going to help myself. I'm going to apply it to my life. Now you do that, anyone can have a positive change, and anybody can grow from the stuff I give them. But I don't change anyone. I just give them the environment to change in. You made that. I gave you an environment to change your leadership in, Clay, but you're the one who made the decision to make the change, not me. And because you did, look what it did for you. But many people, they come and hear me, or they read a book and they say, boy, that was interesting, or man, I learned a lot. But again, if they don't apply it, they're not going to get any better, that's for sure.
I probably owe you residual royalties for all the shameless ideas I've stolen from you over the years. So, in chapter 4,
I'll give you the address to send them to.
Okay, all right. Now, in chapter 4 of your newest book, we're moving on there. I don't think we heard that part. So, in chapter 4 of your book.
You weren't very teachable there.
All right. In chapter 4 of your newest book, Leadership. I feel like, again, I could highlight the whole chapter, but the chapter is titled Perks to Price. Could you break down what this chapter of your book is all about?
Yeah, well, it's very simply, one of the things I teach is everything worthwhile is uphill. And it's a phenomenal principle. In fact, when I teach it to an audience, I just raise one of my arms and uphill, and I just hold it for a while and say everything that you need to know about success in life is visually right before you right now. And so they're just looking at my arm raised in the air, and I let it sink in visually, and I say, now everything worthwhile, it's uphill. There's nothing in your life or my life, Clay, that's worthwhile that we slid to. There's never. That we didn't slide down to something that was very special and precious to us. We had to climb up to it, and that means you have to have energy. That means you have to have effort. That means it takes time. There are no shortcuts to this. And by the way, it's uphill all the way. It's not uphill part of the way.
Right.
Everything we follow is uphill. And so, to go uphill, you have to be intentional. And this is where it really, really becomes huge. No one's ever written a book on accidental achievements, and That's the price that you pay. And what I tell people is it's not a price you pay once, and after you pay it, then you're on an easy street the rest of your life. No, this is a price that you pay every day. It's uphill all the way, and most people don't handle that. Most people they don't leave their life; they accept their life, and because of that, they're waiting. They're waiting for a better day, an easier moment. And it doesn't come to them, and they never reach their potential. Not because they couldn't, they didn't reach their potential because they wouldn't. And what I tell people all the time is that the price is the obstacle between you and your potential. And so the question is not when people say, "Do you think I can reach my dream?" I say, "Well, yeah, yeah, I think you can." The question is not can you. The question is will you? See. The dream is free, but the journey isn't.
I could not agree with you more. To launch this podcast, we've spent $10,000 a month on AdWords for a long time to promote this. We have 1,400 some odd shows, just grinding, working. And my partner and I, people look at us now and say, you guys have built 13 multi-million-dollar companies. That's great. But they don't realize the uphill battle that we had to fight the entire time. And we have one of our listeners out there who she's a fighter. She's a hard worker. And I promised her that I would ask you a question on the show. She's a longtime reader of all of your books. And really, she is a huge fan. So, John, this is the question from Lori Kelly. She asks you. She says, as a leader, there are always people needing you. How do you, Mr. John Maxwell, organize your day so you can accomplish the things you need to do as well as help others accomplish what they need to do?
Well, that's a great question, and there's several things go through my mind. Let me get them to you very quickly. First of all, the question is not will your calendar be full. The question is who will fill your calendar. If I let all the needs of the world fill my calendar, I'll never get on to what my purpose and calling and giftedness is. So I fill the calendar. And what I do is I fill it with the things that I need to do to help the most amount of people. So you can't meet everybody's needs. So one of the principles I follow is very simple. Do for one what you wish you could do for many. And I do. I'll find a person and pour into them and give them what I can't get of everybody because of time. But then but my requirement is if I deposit this in you, you got to go deposit this in others too, so that I can kind of keep it moving and, help it be a river, not a reservoir. So, it's a great question, but I think you have to keep control of your calendar. There's no such thing, by the way, as time management. When people talk about time management, it cracks me up. You can't manage time. In fact, you don't need to manage time. It goes on whether you manage it or not. I don't have to look at the clock and say, I got to manage you to get to the next hour. No, it just keeps going. But what you do is you manage priorities, not your time. And that's where you make the best use of time, by managing your priorities. So that's what I would share with her. Hopefully that helps.
John, that's awesome knowledge there. This entire show is a knowledge bomb. I just need to keep hitting the knowledge bomb button over and over and over again. Now, John, on a very practical level, you run organizations. I think 4 companies, you said, and you have to hold people accountable. And you're known as a positive speaker. You're an inspirational speaker. You're a practical speaker. But let's just say someone was working within one of your organizations, and I know it never happens to you, but for other people, somebody's working within a company that you're in charge of, and they know the person you're delegating to clearly knows what to do, but yet they choose not to do it. And it is abundantly clear that they knew what to do. How would you, Mr. John Maxwell, handle it when somebody knows what to do and clearly chooses to not do what they know to do?
Well, it happens with everybody, but the problem didn't happen when the problem occurs. One of the things we work on very hard, and I do have these companies, but I really don't run them anymore. I've got Mark Cole, who's my CEO over all of them, and then there are presidents of each one. But let me explain it this way. We have what we call upfront expectations, Clay. And when somebody joins the team, we sit down with them and we say, we want to get right out right now our expectations of you. And so there are not a lot of them, about 6 of them. that we say you have to understand that this is up front, and you don't have to buy into it, and we don't have to have you on the team. So this is the way it's going to work. These are the upfront. And one of the upfront expectations is we will have tough conversations. And we let them know right in the very first moment before they ever sign on, join the team, that we'll have tough conversations. And whenever somebody doesn't perform like they need to perform, we won't wait for performance review. We'll sit down right then and say, hey, this is not acceptable. Remember, we said we're going to have tough conversations. This is one of them. And it could get a lot tougher unless you kind of make some changes here in your life. And what I found out is if you have upfront expectations, it's huge. Max Dupree said, the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. And I think upfront expectations does that for it. Hopefully it does. That's how we do it.
John, I cannot thank you enough for hopping on the show today to share with our hundreds of thousands of listeners. We have about 500,000 people a month that download this podcast, and on behalf of everybody, I just want to say thank you for investing in our listeners. And I would invite all the listeners to check out your newest book, The Leader Shift. This book is game-changing. John, thank you for sending me an advanced copy of the book. And I hopefully this podcast did not fail to meet your expectations, my friend.
I loved it. I love being with you, and let's do it again, okay?
I tell you what, I will circle back to you. And again, you changed my life. A cruise boat, djconnection.com. If you Google it when we hop off, you'll see it's all over the country now because of you and the leadership that you taught me so many years ago. And I hope you have a blessed day, my friend.
Yeah, well, let's keep in touch, okay?
All right, you take care.
Blessings. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thrive Nation, after 15 years of chasing the leadership Yoda around, there it is. John Maxwell on the Thrivetime show, and that deserves a boom. So here we go. Without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom.
Yeah, so my name's Kelsey Hershey, and my husband and I own Rockhaven Retrievers. We've been working with you guys for probably 8 or 9 months now, since last May, and it's been a great experience. So when we first started, leads was actually our biggest limiting factor. So we just, we were struggling to get some leads. We had great connections with people, but we were just hoping to grow a little more and a little faster than we were. So that was our biggest limiting factor. We've about doubled our leads, and so that is no longer our biggest limiting factor right now. So that's been great. Some of the things we worked on or fixed was we were already doing some advertising, so we increased our advertising. Our website was kind of a mess. I mean, it was beautiful, but it wasn't being found. So that was our biggest issue. So you guys helped make us more Google compliant. Our coach worked with us. That was amazing. Getting it where people can actually find us. So that has been really important. And then also getting really good, high quality Google reviews where people we're in an industry that very much relies on trust. And so having those referrals and Google reviews has been really important for us. It's had a huge impact. So just the stability and predictability that comes with a business coach, honestly, that was the biggest thing for me. I really I know every Friday morning at 5 a.m., we're going to meet with Andrew. We're going to go over our numbers. We're going to talk about our biggest limiting factor. That way we can just kind of chink away at that. And so we can grow systematically. It's not chaotic at all. And so having that and the way it impacts our family has been huge too, just because, we have, like I said, we're very much family oriented. We have 4 kids. And so it's really important to us that it doesn't become all about the business. And that is something I've really appreciated. Andrew actually cares about our marriage. He cares about our family and our kids, and keeping that all in line with what we have told him is our highest priorities has been really important. And honestly, if that wasn't the case, we probably would not be doing business coaching. So that's a very important part for us. For the 13-point assessment, it's kind of a no-brainer just because there's literally no risk involved. We've also gone to the business conference and come away with a lot of value as well. So honestly, I would say just do it because it is worth it. I love that if someone is hesitant, it is a month-to-month basis. So you can just set aside a certain amount and say, we're going to try it out. And if you're diligent and you're going to be open and do what your business coach asks you to do, then you definitely won't regret it.
Ladies and gentlemen, on today's show, we're going to interview a real person who is a real business owner. So many people ask me, well, Clay, what kind of business owners do you work with? And the reason why we only work with 160 clients, James, is I only want to work with really good people. James, you get it.
I get it.
I don't want to work with people that are not good people. And so today's show, my commercial for her is she's good people. Her name's Kelsey, the name of her company, folks. The name of her company, look it up. She's a real person, not a hologram. It's rockhavenretrievers.com. Kelsey, welcome on to the Thrivetime show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, so just so people can verify that you're not a hologram, tell us your first and last name and the name of your company.
Yeah, so my name's Kelsey Hershey, and my husband and I own Rockhaven Retrievers.
And I'm going to pull up the website so people can look at it real quick. And again, if you're out there today and you're looking for a retriever, my understanding, and I'm inferring based upon the name of the website, Rockhaven Retrievers, that you breed retrievers, or tell us about the kinds of products you provide there at rockhavenretrievers.com.
Yeah, so we raise labs, so Labrador Retrievers, purebred AKC, Labrador Retrievers, and Golden Retriever puppies for amazing families.
And so how did you first hear about us here at the Thrivetime show and the business coaching services that we provide?
Yeah, I think we heard about you probably 5 years ago. So originally, I think we actually was through a podcast, but then we worked with y'all for almost a year on a different business, which we actually got to be able to sell, which was great. And now we've been working with you guys for probably 8 or 9 months now since last May. And it's been a great experience.
So what I want to do, James, you talk to people every day that reach out that would like to be clients. And your job is, you and the team, your job is to sort of filter out who's a good fit and who isn't a good fit for what we do.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm going to go through kind of line by line some questions for Miss Kelsey here. So that way people watching online can figure out if you're a good fit for what we do. So first off, this year versus last year, can you tell us about the leads? Like, what kind of growth have you seen in terms of lead growth from this year versus last year? So from life after business coaching to maybe life before business coaching, what kind of contrast have you seen in lead?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when we first started, leads was actually our biggest limiting factor. So we just, we were struggling to get some leads. We had great connections with people, but we were just hoping to grow a little more and a little faster than we were. So that was our biggest limiting factor. We've about doubled our leads. And so that is no longer our biggest limiting factor right now. So that's been great.
So you've doubled. Now, James, you have questions that people ask you all the time. What follow-up question would you have for Kelsey about lead generation? Because I know people ask you on the phone all the time. They say, can you guys help me generate leads? Do you have any follow-up questions for Kelsey?
Well, a lot of people don't know where to get leads. So where do you get your leads from?
Yeah, so some of the things we worked on or fixed was we were already doing some advertising, so we increased our advertising. Our website was kind of a mess. I mean, it was beautiful, but it wasn't being found. So that was our biggest issue. So you guys helped make us more Google compliant. Our coach worked with us. That was amazing. Getting it where people can actually find us. So that has been really important. And then also getting really good, high quality Google reviews where people we're in an industry that very much relies on trust. And so having those referrals and Google reviews has been really important for us.
Okay, so second follow-up question here for you is, when you do advertisements, I meet so many people all the time, and James, you talk to them on the phone. They're spending thousands of dollars advertising their products. So I'm going to pull up a bunch of examples real quick. These are real examples, okay? So rockhavenretrievers.com, that's your business. Okay, here's another business. True story. Client of mine, longtime client of mine, PMH OKC. This is a real business, PMH OKC. They do not sell retrievers. They are a home remodeling business. They build pools, outdoor kitchens, that kind of thing. Another client of mine, Cola Fitness. This is a client that's based in Joplin, Missouri. This is a company that's based in Dallas, Texas. Okay. These companies, also the Purcell Group, Stacy Purcell, the Purcell Group, wonderful lady. These are 3 examples of clients that I met that were spending over $2,000 a week before I met them advertising on the internet, and they were not generating any leads at all. I want to get your thoughts on this, Kelsey. We are obsessive. We are fastidious about tracking. Can you talk about the importance of having a coach that helps you track where your leads are coming from?
Yeah. So in an ideal world, we would have done all the tracking already. Sometimes it's a matter of having that accountability. And that was actually the biggest thing for us is we knew we were supposed to be doing some of these things, but just knowing that every Friday morning, we're going to meet with our coach. We're going to go over our tracking sheet. We're going to know what we're spending every week. We're going to know our leads, making sure that those numbers are lining up has been really important so that, like you said, the advertising doesn't get out of control and we know exactly how much we're spending every week.
Now, in the world we live in, even right now, someone's watching and they're going, I bet you she's being paid to say these things. There's a world we live in where people are, I love it. I actually love it because I do believe only the paranoid survive. But there's a world we live in, James, where a lot of people, there's shamockery, there's jackassery, there's scams. You see it, get rich quick, get rich in 17 minutes, the whole thing. Our service happens to be month to month. And so when you sold your company, you called us with great enthusiasm and you said, guys, congratulations, we're selling our business. And we were so excited for you guys. And we helped you guys to grow your company and you sold it. And there wasn't a contract where I said, this just in, Kelsey, you're locked into a contract. Write it and say, uh-oh, you owe us a lot of money to get out of that contract. We've all been in a contract for a gym or a timeshare or a phone plan or something. Can you talk about the peace of mind it gives you knowing that you're paying $1,700 a month, 1,700 per month, $1,700 a month, and knowing it's month to month, even though our average client is with us for 6 years or longer? Tell us about the peace of mind of knowing that it is month to month.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely peace of mind there. Honestly, the trust we've built at this point, I have no concerns at all, just because we have a very, very good relationship with Andrew, our business coach. And honestly, I was more concerned that we'd be able to get Andrew again after we sold our business, just because he's amazing and has done so well. I was more concerned that you guys would keep us as customers and with our next business. So that was not an issue at all.
Okay, now for your business, go back to your business. We've got to gather video reviews. So I'm trying to celebrate my clients today while giving a lot of examples. So if you go to thrivetimeshow.com, that's obviously a business that I'm involved in. If you go to eitrlounge.com, that's obviously a business I'm involved in. If you go to Dr. Zellner and Associates, that's obviously a business that Dr. Zellner and I are involved in. So when you look at these different businesses, we are teaching that which we do. Like, we're teaching you to do things that we do in our own companies. And so when you go to thrivetimeshow.com, the idea of having a business conference is not a new idea for me. And I know this sounds shocking, but I've been doing business conferences for 20 years. This is my 20th year doing the same thing. So we have thousands and thousands of testimonials from real clients. So people say, Clay Clark, I've never heard of you before, but I know Robert Kiyosaki's speaking at your conference, or I know Eric Trump's coming, or I know that you're bringing in Tim Tebow or whatever. But ultimately, James, people, they often want to know, how long have you been doing this? Where are you located? We talked to a lady the other day. She said, does Tulsa have hotels? Remember this lady, wonderful lady?
Yeah.
I mean, so there's people that have lots of questions about, does Tulsa have hotels? What kind of questions do people ask you about our conferences, James?
Well, they want to know, a lot of people want to know what exactly are you going to talk about. So they don't know that you're going to talk about marketing, systems and scaling, human resources, accounting, social media marketing, branding, search engine optimization.
Right.
That's a big one. Sales training, just all these things.
But people ask you this every time.
Right, they do.
And so we have testimonials. And so I want to get your thoughts on this, Kelsey. How has gathering video testimonials for your business impacted you? Because I hear so much from people, they say the video testimonials were important for them. How has gathering objective video reviews from real customers impacted your business?
Oh, it's been so important. So for us, like I said, our business is very much built on trust. So having people that trust us to raise their puppy, to know that it's being cared for well and is getting everything that we say. We are in an industry that unfortunately has a pretty bad reputation in some areas. And there's scams out there. There's things out there, unfortunately. And so we need people to be able to trust us, to trust that we are doing the right thing and really caring for our puppies. So having those video reviews on our website and also able to just send them to people when they ask, being able to say, hey, this is a real person who's gotten a puppy from us. that has been very important for our growth.
Now, next area, and this is something important. I don't know, James. James, you like to make steak, right?
I do.
Okay, so let's talk about making steak for a second. I'm getting into your wheelhouse. When you're making steak, is it the quality of meat? Does the quality of meat matter?
It does, and I always try to go to the part of the store that has the glass with the person behind it and get the prime cut.
So the quality of the cut matters.
It does.
Does it matter that what do you cook your steak in?
In a cast iron pan.
On part 2 of today's show, by the way, we're going to put on the video of how you cook steak. Okay. So part 2, you use what kind of pan do you use?
Cast iron.
Then what do you put on the steak?
I do butter and oil, like extra virgin olive oil, and then just salt and pepper.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes a little garlic and rosemary on it too.
And then does cooking the steak, how you cook the steak matter?
It does. I always cook that thing on high heat, and the alarm will go off 4 out of 5 times.
Now, this is so important, though. This is so important because people say, Clay, I want to grow my business. What's the most important part? And James, people ask you all the time. They say, so are you guys an accounting firm? Are you guys a marketing firm? Are you guys a sales coaching thing? And it's all of it. So when you come to our workshops or you're a client, we go through all 14 aspects of your company. And so I'm really going to tap into Kelsey's brain on this because her and her family, her team, they really are attentive and diligent about all of these areas and really trying to do the best they can to provide the best service possible. So first off, we have to figure out your revenue goals. I'm not going to ask you to share your goals on today's show, but you have to know how many dogs you have to sell to break even. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to know your break even point, box number 2. And again, anybody who wants to download this book for free, you go to thrivetimeshow.com/free-resources, and you can follow along. You can download my book, A Millionaire's Guide, How to Become Sustainably Rich, thrivetimeshow.com/free-resources. And again, we're talking here from page 5 of this book. Kelsey, how has that impacted you knowing your break-even point?
That's been really important. I mean, we wouldn't be able to, this is a passion of ours. We really love it, but we can't keep doing it if we aren't making a profit and feeding our family. So we have 4 boys. We need to be able to feed them, to care for them. And so knowing our break even it's a non-negotiable. We would not be doing what we're doing for this long if we didn't know our numbers.
So you got to know the numbers. And again, somebody out there says, Clay, I'm not an accountant. We'll help you with that. Don't worry about it, folks. You got to know your numbers, okay? Now, box 3 is you got to know how many hours per week you're willing to work. Now, this is a very controversial subject. I will share my thoughts on this. Someone out there can disagree. I believe that everybody watching today's show, you should pray about it, ask God, I mean it sincerely, and then talk to your spouse and figure out the boundaries with which we are going to work. So for my wife and I like to work 6 days, rest on the 7th. That's the mindset that I have. That's my ideal scenario. Some people say, you work 6 days a week. James, new employees are always shocked that I'm here 6 days a week.
They are.
I mean, do you hear that a lot there? I guess you hear 6 days a week. But it's every week I do it.
Every single week.
Yeah, and you work 6 days, 7 days a week. You do it too, right?
Right.
But there's some people that want to work 4 days a week or 5 days a week. Kelsey, why is it important for you and your husband with the 4 kids you have to know how many hours per week that you're willing to work?
I think it's important just because we have priorities. And so if we know what our priorities are and then we can assign timeframes to them, it really helps just our family operate better and us feel like we're actually achieving what we say is our priorities. So for us, we do the same thing. We work 6 days a week. And I think, honestly, y'all have helped us a lot with just feeling comfortable that is okay, because there is a lot of shame and stuff around that. But priority wise, we do assign timeframes to things just so that we can accomplish the things that are important to us.
I'm not saying this to name drop. I'm saying this because it's true. You know, tonight my wife and I are taking out one of the most successful TV hosts in America, and it's on a Saturday night. And to us, that's work, but we like it. You know, I'm not saying this to name drop. I'm just saying this. When we have Robert Kiyosaki that will come in, or Eric Trump, we will be working that week, probably 7 days that week. I don't want to do that though. So because we will go to church, but then it's like when we get James, when my wife and I just got back, we had to go to Florida for a business trip recently. I got back and I had a lot of work I had to get caught up on. So my schedule got out of whack, but it's so important that you're out there and you have an ideal schedule that you feel good about. And for my wife and I, it's 6 days a week. Someone out there watching, it might be 4 days a week, but it's really important. The next area you have to focus on if you want to scale a company, we'll help you through all of this, folks, is you got to figure out, box number 4, what makes you unique. So this just in, there are other dog breeders in America. What? There are other dog breeders in America. This just in. So we've had to work with you. You've worked with us to just figure out what makes you unique and then tell the world about it. Can you talk about why it's important there, Kelsey, for your business to know your unique value proposition?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for us, we definitely lean into this really hard because, like you said, there's so many others. There's a lot of unethical ones. And so we really want to differentiate ourselves. So being able to share that we do health testing with our parents, we provide a really good health guarantee, 2-year health guarantee with all of our puppies. That sort of thing allows us to show how we are different because there is a small group of people are looking for what we provide. And if they don't know how we are different, they won't be able to find us. So that's why we make that very clear on our website and talking to people how we differentiate ourselves.
Now, this is so big, folks. We're going through each one. There's 14 steps of business growth. There's 14 steps. And I want to hit on these because it's so important that you check all these boxes. Box number 5, your branding. This just in. People do judge a book based on the cover. They do judge a product based on the website. They do. Now, James, your desk is oftentimes 4 feet from mine.
Yes.
And sometimes it's 15 feet away from mine.
Right.
Does it ever blow your mind that people come in to the office, figuratively speaking, or literally, sometimes with an unsuccessful business, and they end up building a multi-million-dollar business almost every time?
Yeah, it's really insane because I've been here for 2 years and I worked in the part of the business that wasn't really part of the business, doing other stuff.
Yeah.
And so I've got to see contractors, home builders, roofers, dog groomers, just so many different industries. Doctors, lawyers, accountants come in, and then they have a business that's struggling, and then you help them get more leads, and then you help them with the sales scripts, and then you help them with hiring and inspiring. And then there's just so many things that you do that help scale their business, which is what everyone wants to do, is scale their business and have more time freedom and have more financial freedom. And I see it. And it's like every week it's a new person that reaches that goal. I believe it.
You see it every day. So I want to ask your thoughts on this, Kelsey. Why is it important that your branding is top notch?
I mean, it reflects what's inside and what's happening here. So if we do an amazing job, but we can't portray that to everybody else, it's going to get lost in translation. So it's really important that what we're doing here matches what other people are seeing.
This is, folks, I hope you're learning something, folks. This is such a powerful interview here because these folks, I'm telling you, at Rock Haven Retrievers, they're high quality. I'm totally against cloning technology. But if I were to clone people, I would want to clone these people. Okay, so box number 6, marketing. You have to have a 3-legged marketing stool. By the way, branding consists of your website, your business cards, your print pieces, your logos, and we do all of that included for the $1,700 a month. So everything, we do all of that for you. That's all included. Let's talk about marketing for a second. Kelsey, why do you have to have a 3-legged marketing stool, like 3 viable ways that you generate leads? So in your case, you're getting Google reviews and video reviews. That's powerful. Boom. 2, search engine optimization. 3, boom. Or 2, search engine optimization. And then 3, online ads. So it's not just one way you're marketing. It's not just Google reviews and video reviews. 2, it's not just search engine optimization. 3, it's not just online ads. Why do you have to have 3 ways that you market to your ideal and likely buyers?
Well, mainly because if something would happen to one of them, we need to be able to pivot. So if we're all in on just one area, say we just do advertising, well, if that advertising gets shut down, that immediately stops all of our deal flows, all of our growth, everything is done. So we need to have, I don't want to say diversified because that almost makes it sound like we can be distracted, but if we can focus on 3 different things and do them very well, it has worked really well for us.
Folks, I'm telling you, this is powerful stuff. Somebody out there, A, you need a dog, so you're probably going to Rock Haven Retrievers right now. But B, if you're trying to grow a company, take notes. These are real people doing real things. Box number 7, you have to create a sales conversion system. Has to be a documented process. If you're building a boat, I'm hoping that you're using a blueprint. If you're building a car, I'm hoping that you're building a car using a blueprint. If you're building a house, I hope you're using a blueprint. If you're building anything of consequence at scale, I would hope you're using a blueprint. I don't know why in business people don't want to use blueprints. I don't quite have it figured out yet. I don't know why people insist on operating via verbal traditions and tribal knowledge and, well, Carl knows the passwords. I don't understand that, but in order to scale scale something, you have to create a documented system. And so for sales, you have to have call scripts, call recording, a one sheet that clearly documents how you provide solutions for the workforce, to the marketplace. You have to have pre-written emails that make sense, a lead tracking system that makes sense. Kelsey, talk about the sales conversion system. Why do you have to have all these systems in place?
We need them in place because we're people who make mistakes. So for me, I can be going about and doing things, boom, 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 and I can totally forget something. And ask my husband, he knows this, but if I have a checklist and I know what I'm doing, that is much less likely to happen. So I really rely on having systems in place because with raising puppies, they are living and breathing. Like, we can't mess up on this. So we really need those systems in place to make sure every single thing is getting done.
Folks, I'm telling you, whether you're feeding dogs, you're a dentist, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, we have a wonderful, and I get James on part 2 of today's show. You're going to be able to teach the world how you make a steak. And I'm being real. Too Cool Keith, a wonderful guy in Visalia, California. He makes the best steaks in the world.
He does.
And big shout out to him, by the way. His company's called Crawdaddies. This guy makes the best steaks in the world. I'm being real. It's worth the vacation here. This is Visalia, California. If you're like going, man, I don't know what I'm going to take my kids to this year, go to Visalia, California. Find a way to get there. Head on over there to Crawdaddies. It's worth the trip. Once you get there, you can see all the wonderful things that Northern California has to offer. But the highlight of your trip will be going to Too Cool Keith's. The business is called Crawdaddies. It's incredible. I love this place. Best steak in the world. Steak number 2 coming in hot. That was a place called Bluestone. They're not around anymore. The owner decided to shut down. So moving into the second position is you, James.
That's right, baby.
Now, third is Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. So it's kind of a tight competition. My wife's moving into third or fourth position right now. So you're making some great steaks, okay? So I want everyone to know you have to have a system in place, okay? It's a system. Box number 8. You've got to know you have to determine your sustainable customer acquisition costs. At the end of the day, how much does it cost you to get a new customer? So Kelsey, whatever you charge for the dogs that you guys sell, you have to know how much it costs you to get a new customer. Talk about the importance of knowing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right on our tracking sheet. So we need to know the cost of when leads come in, what each of those costs are that we're accounting for, just because costs can get out of hand very quickly. And so if we're tracking them every week, we know exactly where we're at.
Now, again, folks, I'm hoping you're taking notes. I'm hoping you're getting this. This is powerful stuff. And someone says, this isn't exciting at all. This seems like a very tedious step-by-step process. Yeah, exactly. If you want your life to be exciting, don't use systems. You're going to have an exciting life. Will you be able to pay the bills? Are you on the verge of bankruptcy? I mean, that's exciting stuff. But if you want to have a proven path to create sustainable success, you've got to implement these systems. Step number 9, create repeatable systems, processes, and file organization. This just in. You can't build a successful organization if you are not organized. Kelsey, preach the good news about being organized.
Well, it's not necessarily my strong suit. It's my husband. So that is why we need these systems in place. So my husband is very much naturally detail oriented. I tend to be a little bit more on the I love to talk to people and do things and play with puppies, but I'm not necessarily system oriented. So when we have these things in place, it helps our marriage, that's for sure, but it also helps our business and helps us make sure that we're doing everything that we say is really important to us and that we're getting things done in a timely manner.
Final 3 steps, folks, coming in hot. Box number 11 or box number 10. You've got to create a management system. You have to have an effective management system. What am I saying? Management is, what are the people on your team expected to do? And do they do it? How do you convince humans on the planet Earth to do their jobs with excellence? I see a lot of people have great systems, great processes, great visions, but nobody is getting anything done because nobody's being managed. Can you talk about that? Because your business, you've doubled the number of leads you're getting. Can you talk about the importance of learning these management systems or even these hiring processes?
Yeah, so we're still very much a family operated business. We're really still a small business. But it's not just me. My husband works here. We're full-time together. So knowing that we're on the same page, we do have meetings in the morning, just making sure we're on track, that we're focused on the same things and we know what's going on. I would say is key for us, having quick meetings in the morning, making sure that we're both know what's happening for the day and going through our calendar once a week. We will do that as well, just to make sure our week is planned out. And so it's not chaos during the week.
Okay, box number 12 here, folks, coming in hot. We're almost there, almost there. Stay on target, almost there. Box number 12, or box number 11, you have to create a sustainable and repetitive weekly schedule. You know, like when is your daily huddle? When is your weekly group interview? When will you call the leads? When will you go home? When will you show up to work? What is your schedule? Can you talk about that, about Kelsey, about the importance of having a documented schedule that you, your husband, and your team adheres to?
Yeah, we keep a pretty good schedule just because we need to know what's going on. So we can't be losing kids during the week. We got to know who's getting the kids. We need to know puppies. We need to know who's coming and visiting, who's coming to take a puppy home, that sort of thing. So if we don't know that, it's going to be pretty chaotic during the week. So that's why we do a weekly meeting and we do plan out pretty tightly our schedule.
Now, James, we move on to the final couple boxes here. So we got box number 13 or box number 12. You have to create human resources and recruitment systems. There's got to be a process. Now, Kelsey, I'm sure you could see the writing on the wall. You're going, wow, we're getting more leads. We're doing more transactions. And at a certain point, hiring people will become your biggest limiting factor. At some point, hiring people will become your biggest limiting factor. Can you talk about the importance of having a plan in place for onboarding new employees?
Yeah, this is actually something that is very top of mind right now that we've been talking with our business coach about because this is our next step. So we have been talking about different ways of finding leads, whether that's, finding our first employees, because as we grow, like you said, it is going to become our biggest limiting factor. So this is very top of mind current for us because we are starting to go down this path with our business coach.
Okay, now box number 13 and 14, folks, you've got to make sure that your business, that you automate the earning of your millions. What am I saying? You have to have an accounting process in place where you track every dollar, because it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. And so if any of these aspects are neglected, your business will not succeed. And that's why I believe everybody out there, if you have a sound mind, you should probably have an attorney you work with who knows what he's talking about to guide you through the legal aspects of your company. You should probably have an accountant you can trust to guide you through the accounting aspects of your company. You should probably have a dentist that you go to that's not a guy you know who's watched a couple YouTube videos on teeth brushing. I mean, you probably want to have an expert in your life to help you in these various areas. And the whole purpose of that is so you can achieve what we call the F7 success, where you have success with your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, your fun. So, Kelsey, as you're going down this path, so many people are taking notes right now. If you could share with everybody kind of maybe a 60-second recap of what impact having a business coach has had on your life and your businesses, we'd love to hear. We'd love to hear from you.
Oh man, it's had a huge impact. So just the stability and predictability that comes with a business coach. Honestly, that was the biggest thing for me. I really appreciate. I know every Friday morning at 5 a.m., we're going to meet with Andrew. We're going to go over our numbers. We're going to talk about our biggest limiting factor. That way we can just kind of chink away at that. And so we can grow systematically. It's not chaotic at all. And so having that and the way it impacts our family has been huge too, just because we have, like I said, we're very much family oriented. We have 4 kids. And so it's really important to us that it doesn't become all about the business. And that is something I've really appreciated. Andrew actually cares about our marriage. He cares about our family and our kids, and keeping that all in line with what we have told him is our highest priorities has been really important. And honestly, if that wasn't the case, we probably would not be doing business coaching. So that's a very important part for us.
And so what do you say to somebody who's on the fence? They're thinking about coming to our workshop. They're thinking about going to Thrivetime show and scheduling a free 13-point assessment. They're thinking about coming to a business conference. They know it's $1,700 a month. They know for the business conferences that we have scholarship pricing available to help families in need. So you can name your price. They know that we do scholarships for clients from time to time. But what would you say to somebody who's on the fence and thinking about either attending a conference or scheduling a free 13-point assessment?
Well, for the 13-point assessment, it's kind of a no-brainer just because there's literally no risk involved. We've also gone to the business conference and come away with a lot of value as well. So honestly, I would say just do it because it is worth it. I love that if someone is hesitant, it is a month-to-month basis. So you can just set aside a certain amount and say, we're going to try it out. And if you're diligent and you're going to be open and do what your business coach asks you to do, then you definitely won't regret it.
James, I'll give you the final question here. You talk to wonderful people every day that are maybe the potential Kelseys of America, or some people you say, whoa, we can't help you. And I don't want anybody to waste their time filling out the form if you have an esoteric belief system and not an actual business you're trying to grow. So, James, what final question would you have for Kelsey?
If you could do it all over again, would you hire us?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, very thankful for you guys. It's been a huge blessing. We love it. Honestly, Fridays when we meet, it's the highlight of our day. It's our most productive day for sure. So, absolutely.
Kelsey, thank you so much for carving out time for us today. I encourage everybody out there, if you don't hate yourself and you do love retrievers, if you do love retrievers and you don't hate yourself and you're looking to get a retriever, go to rockhavenretrievers.com, rockhavenretrievers.com. That's the website, rockhavenretrievers.com. And on part 2 of today's show, James will teach us how to make one of his epic steaks. Thank you so much, Kelsey. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too, guys.
Bye-bye.
I started a business because I couldn't work for anyone else. I do things my way. I do what I think is in the best interest of the patient. I don't answer to insurance companies. I don't answer to large corporate organizations. I answer to my patient, and that's it. My thought when I opened my clinic was I can do this all myself. I don't need additional outside help in many ways. I went to medical school. I can figure this out. But it was a very, very steep learning curve. Within the first 6 months of opening my clinic, I had a $63,000 embezzlement. I lost multiple employees. Clay helped us weather the storm of some of the things that are just a lot of people experience, especially in the medical world. He was instrumental in helping with the specific written business plan. He's been instrumental in hiring good quality employees, using the processes that he outlines for getting in good talent, which is extremely difficult. He helped me in securing the business loans. He helped me with web development and search engine optimization. We've been able to really keep a steady stream of clients coming in because they found us on the web. With everything that I encountered, everything that I experienced, I quickly learned it is worth every penny to have someone in your team that can walk you through and even avoid some of the pitfalls that are almost invariable in starting your own business. I'm Dr. Chad Edwards, and I own Revolution Health and Wellness Clinic.
Hi, my name is Tim Johnson. I'm the owner of Tuscaloosa Ophthalmology as well as Southern Eye Consultants, 2 ophthalmology practices in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I'm a client of Clay Clark. He asked me to answer a couple questions. The first question was, how did I hear about Clay Clark? I am a big fan of business podcasts, and his podcast popped up as a recommended listening, so I started listening to the podcast. I was a little suspicious or skeptical because I thought there was going to be like an upcharge or an upsell. But the idea of the month-to-month canceling really appealed to me. And I kept waiting for the shoe to drop and for the upsell or for the scam to come in, but it never did. It's very legitimate. Since working with Clay, I've gotten a much firmer grasp on how business works. Even in medicine, business is business. I've learned a lot about marketing, especially how Google reviews work and how important that is. And that's very important even in medicine. At least once a week, if not every day, I get a new patient because somebody Googled eye doctor in Tuscaloosa or ophthalmologist in Tuscaloosa. And you'd be amazed how many patients just look for an eye doctor that way. And so he's really changed our business. Our business has grown a lot, maybe 15 to 20% this year. And so we're really grateful for the things he's done for our business. And the last question was, when did I perfect the laugh? I would say that you can never perfect the laugh. You just keep working at it. And just keeps getting better and better each day. But you got to keep working at it.
Dateline, August 31st, 2024. James, this is the most important video ever shot. You're probably the third best steak maker that I know of. You have Keith, Crawdaddy's Keith.
That's right.
He's a heady in the game.
Keith's Gore's Gaten.
He's a heady in the game. You're number 2. I'd put, Texas Roadhouse at kind of at a solid 3 there. So we're gonna see if you can teach us your system for making the perfect steak.
All
What do
right.
we need? What are the essential ingredients?
So the first thing we need is the steak, whether that's gonna be the porterhouse, the New York strip.
Oh, you're making it complicated. What do we need to get here? What do we need to get?
You need to first get the steak.
What are you getting now, though?
All right, we're getting the steak right now.
What kind of steak are you getting?
We're gonna see what they have. We might get
Oh.
a ribeye. We
Okay.
might get the New York strip.
We'll
We're
check
gonna see
back
what
in
they
just a
have.
moment. There's
Yeah.
too much suspense. Folks, things are changing. James, you stopped in the vegetable section or something? Or what are you getting now?
You know what? You have to put rosemary on the steak. You just have to do it. It's a must-have. If you don't do it, you're not going to make a 10 out of 10 steak.
I'll try to deal with the emotions I'm feeling right now. We'll be right back. In a shocking turn of events, we're still in the vegetable section. What are you getting now?
We need to have garlic. If you're going to make a 10 out of 10 steak, you need to have garlic.
Okay. The wheels fall off the wagon for a lot of people at this stage. Tell us, this is the stage where you're picking the meat.
Yeah, this is the KC strip. It's also known as the New York strip. And this is my favorite cut, I think, of the steak.
Really? How many ounces are you getting here?
Looks like it's 1.4 pounds, so maybe 25 ounces or so.
Wow. Okay. All right, James, what are we looking at now?
This is olive oil, and this is what we're gonna cook the steak in, and it's gonna be great.
So you're cooking the steak in olive oil. Do you cook the steak in anything
and
else?
I also add butter to it as well, and then you mix the two. I don't know what it does, but it comes out great.
What kind of butter are we talking about?
You know what? Just the regular butter, unsalted, organic.
Stop dodging the questions. We'll go find the butter next. The steak game is so easy for you. You knew exactly the kind of butter you're looking for. What kind of butter are you getting here?
This is the Kerrygold's pure Irish butter, and you just throw some of this in the pan with the steak, and it comes out great. And I eat a stick of butter every day.
Holy crap.
Try that at home.
Now, a core component of your steak regimen, your steak plan, your steak blueprint, your steak recipe is what here? What are you doing now?
Salt and pepper. You can't have salt without pepper, and you can't have pepper without salt.
What kind of salt are you getting here?
So just grab them both. Just, whatever salt, I guess, is good salt.
McCormick sea salt?
Or you could get the pink salt.
Which one do you get?
People
Don't give us options like that. Don't play that game with us. Don't manipulate us.
I get the pink one.
You do?
I do.
Oh, wow. So you're kind of bougie. You get the pink salt here.
Pink salt.
And then you get what kind of pepper?
Just black pepper.
You turn it. You grind your own?
Grind it. You have to grind it. It keeps it fresh.
Okay, got it. All right, we caught him. He's about ready to get started on the steak without telling us. Sir, what are you doing now? What are you working on now?
So I'm going to cut up the garlic and the rosemary.
Okay, all to make the James patent pending super steak.
Exactly.
We caught him trying to skip a step. He's washing, and that was not one of the steps that he talked about earlier. Thus, potentially misleading the viewers out there who are just trying to learn how to make the lake steak patent pending from James.
Boom.
Real quick, what kind of military credentials did you earn?
Well, spent 4 years active duty in the Air Force up in Minot, North Dakota.
Is that where you learned this controversial steak?
This is where I learned it.
Really?
Kudos to my boy Camuela, I won't say his last name on here, and his wife from Hawaii.
Really?
This is how they do it. Yeah. They taught me the
You
rosemary.
can't even speak of the man. It's such a secret thing. It's like, okay. All right, we'll come back. Okay, what are you doing right now as you're preparing for the steak there, sir? What are you doing?
Just picking off the plate, eating off the plate right now.
What are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing?
Just a little taste test action, cut up the garlic.
You're cutting up the garlic. Oh, see, you didn't disclose that.
It's all cut.
Okay. All right, so you're cutting. All right, so you're unpacking the meat here. You're taking the meat out of the package?
Yep, and we're going to salt and pepper it, and then we're going to put it right on the pot.
This is a controversial strategy. Some would keep it in the package and would put the package in and sort of, but you're taking it out of the package.
Now, I'm going to leave it in the package and put the salt and pepper on it while it's still in the package.
A lot going on, folks. Stay tuned. All right, now he's going to get the olive oil. The oil.
Got it?
From the olive.
Boom.
Boom. Let me zoom in real quick here. Don't throw somebody off the trail. Okay, you got it. It says rich taste. Rich taste.
Now we're getting the butter.
Now we're getting the butter. Okay, here we go. He's getting the butter.
Butter.
Controversial move. He's keeping the butter in a what's called a refrigerator. Folks, if you need to get one of those, you'll want to write that down as well. It's a hidden step. Okay, here we go.
All right, now.
This
is the controversy. So,
okay,
this pot right here.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I used this bad boy yesterday.
Yeah.
And my secret is that I keep the butter and the oil in the pot for like a week.
So like the remnant, like the fat and the stuff from the other, you keep it in
yesterday. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I just, that's the base that we need to cook a great steak.
Okay, all right, you're a wild man, a man without boundaries. Ooh, next step.
All right, this is the double whammy. We're gonna salt and pepper the steak, and then we're gonna also heat up the pot or the pan, whatever you're using.
Wow, and this is something, again, Keith, who owns Crawdaddy's, and I mean this, folks, Keith, who owns Crawdaddy's, makes the best steaks in America.
He does. Maybe the whole universe, actually.
I mean, it's unbelievable. It's worth making the trip to California.
Tulare.
It's worth the trip just to go to Crawdaddy's to behold the wonder. Now, coming in number 2, that's your steaks. The number 3, that's Texas Roadhouse, other places. Number 14, that's Outback, whatever. But this is some hot stuff, folks. Okay, so what are we doing now?
All right, we're going to salt and pepper it.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to...
I call this move the Keith. I call this the Keith. Too cool, Keith? So
it is.
Grinds the salt, yes.
The next move is the corpse garden.
You grind the pepper. You grind it. Do you want some more pepper? Yes, just say when. I don't say when, I just grind the pepper. This is called the Keith. The Keith move. He grinds the pepper. Keith.
You need a lot of pepper on these things.
I've heard that Keith will grind the pepper until other men would stop.
I heard he uses his teeth.
He grinds it. Wow. That's why you want to eat at Crawdaddy's. I don't know why he doesn't put that on the menu. Some people say handmade. These guys say free choose your food. Like an eagle. Oh. It's called the Keith. He grinds the pepper. Just... What you're doing right there. It's poetic. Okay, what are you doing now? What are you doing?
Now we're gonna wait for this to heat up. Oh, it looks pretty good.
Looks pretty good?
Looks pretty good.
Are you gonna eat it right now or are you gonna cook it first?
We're gonna cook it.
Okay. I'll write that down. That's a good step.
We're gonna cook it. We're gonna let this heat up for just another minute or 2.
Yep.
And then we're gonna toss it on. And then we're gonna turn on this fan. Otherwise, the fire alarms are gonna go off crazy.
That's your specialty.
That's my specialty. That's what everyone knows me for. Setting off the fire alarm.
Fire alarm, James. I always catch this guy moving in an extra step, sneaking in a step. What's the next step you're doing?
We're gonna add some butter.
Add some butter.
Add some butter.
Okay.
And a little bit of olive oil.
A little bit of olive oil. But yesterday, when you didn't have the funk from the night before, you just started with the olive oil.
That's what I started with the olive oil.
But day 1 can be like the roughest day of your steak process.
Day 1's always rough.
Day 5, how's that going?
Day 5 is great.
Why do you ever replace the stuff?
You know what? I'm starting to not. So so we've reached a record of 2 weeks now.
Oh
and
my
it's
gosh!
Going pretty good, but
okay.
That's somewhere else.
There you go.
All right, let me get a fork real quick.
Now, this is an official fork. This is an Air Force approved fork.
3 little forks.
Would Keith use a fork like this, or?
You know what? I think Keith's fork just got 1 point on it.
Okay, I don't know. You think General Flynn would approve of what you're doing here?
I think he would.
Yeah, let's put it in there. Right? Okay, it's in there.
So there's 1.
1. Okay. He's doing it 2. Oh, 2. Oh,
and then
both
here's
are in.
The second one.
Now, what are you doing? What are you doing now? What are you doing now? What's going through your head? Tell us.
And then now, we're gonna salt and pepper this side of the steak.
While it's cooking? This is controversial. Risking life and limb. You're doing the Keith. Grinds the pepper. Grinds the salt. This is what Keith. If you go to Crawdaddy's, you're gonna notice that Keith will do it better than what you're doing now.
He does.
Only because he's the best in the world. But you're number 2. It's good here. Just getting in here, looking at the. Are you burning yourself? Are you okay?
You know you're doing good when you're getting burned.
Oh, okay, that's how you know.
That's the secret.
That's what you need to know. Okay. All right.
And then we'll put some salt on it.
Oh, wow. How are you going to cook this thing? You cook it for 2 hours or a week? Or what are you doing? How do you know when you're done?
You know what? It's different for the size of the piece.
Okay.
And I always try to eye it down because it's like, it's an instinct thing.
An instant, because there's no rule. You couldn't write down the rule.
You
Okay.
can't.
Yeah.
And then now I'm going to add the rosemary.
Rosemary.
It just goes right in there.
Oh, wow.
And the garlic too.
Come on.
And
Incredible. You just...
Oh, yeah, you can smell that, right?
I mean, you let this thing cook for like an hour or 10 minutes. Give us some sort of time.
Maybe like 4 to 6 minutes on each side.
46 minutes?
4 to 6 minutes.
Oh, a lot of controversy there. Some people thought
On
46.
each side. And yeah, you're doing good after that.
Look at what you're doing here.
And then you start to smell the rosemary, the garlic, and the steak.
Folks, put your nose against the camera. Right. Put your nose against the screen, folks. If you're watching online, put your nose against the screen and sniff in. Just take it in. Smell, folks, smell the screen. Put your nose on the screen. Smell the smell. Smell the smell.
And then I close that lid up.
Oh.
And then I, pace around for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and then check on it.
And you draw a crowd. I mean, I've noticed there's a lot of women showing up to watch you do this.
It's the second best steak in the world.
James, the game is afoot. All right, here we go. We're getting ready.
All right, we're still waiting.
It's a foot game.
You know what? Before I flip it, I like to see the top of the steak. And if it's still red, it's not ready to flip.
Okay, it's still red.
Yeah.
You're looking for non-red.
Looking for non-red.
Getting into crunch time here, folks. You can feel the tension. You can feel people are sniffing their screens right now. You can feel the energy. People are gathering around to see what's going on.
We're almost there.
This is what we call the lake steak, a product of James. Something that's almost as good as what Too Cool Keith at Crawdaddy's. But Tulare, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm honest, it's the best steak I've ever had.
I had their steak, I had their lobster thermidor.
Yeah.
It was a lobster tail that was literally this big. It had to be like 2 pounds. And it was the best thing I ever ate in my whole life.
And for the price, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, you would think it would be $2,000 or $4,000 for this. No, it's not. But no, it's great. It's really, it's economical, it's affordable, it's worth the trip. I mean, you can buy a ticket to fly out to Tulare, have the steak, and but if you can't do that, what do? You do the James move here. That's right. Number 2 best steak in America. I'm zooming in here, I'm watching bubbling, stumbling, rumbling, looking, seeing what's happening here. Oh, here we go. Starting to see it. Do you feel like it's done, or how do you feel?
You just look at it, and then I think to myself a couple of things.
I noticed that you've been bending the knees while doing this. Is this part of the process? You bend the knees? Is that part of the you bend the knees? Okay.
We're just waiting.
Just waiting.
Just waiting.
Okay, here we go. Game time.
All right, I think it's time to flip them. We're gonna take a look. Usually when you grab the top of the pan, and it's hot and it burns, that's probably around the time that you cook it.
Burn your hand.
Yeah.
It's done.
Oh yeah.
Wow. There we go.
And then you just
are you gonna cook it some more, or what are you doing now?
flip it, but you see the top of them.
Yep.
A nice crisp on top.
Look at that. This is poetic.
That's what we want right there.
Incredible stuff right here.
Only Keith does a better job.
Only Keith does a better job. And we believe that General Flynn may approve of this strategy.
Right.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Okay. Here we go. Hey, we're back. What do you do now?
We're going to check to see how the other side looks, and I always eye this thing down. And it looks like this.
I think you've got it. I think you might have it.
So maybe another minute.
Another minute.
Another minute.
Okay, got it. Davis, what do you think? What do you think about this action? Do you agree? Davis, do you agree? Davis agrees. All right. What are we doing now?
We're gonna take the steaks off, and we're gonna let them sit for like 2 minutes about.
Okay.
And then we'll cut them. Then we'll cut them open.
Here we go. There it is. There it is, baby. That is how it's done. All right, James, what is the next step?
It's the moment of truth. We're gonna see how this thing came out.
Okay, let's look at it. Here we go. Oh, this is incredible. This is
so nice.
I haven't felt these emotions since being at a funeral or a wedding. It's just like a tornado. You know what I mean? It's just so. It's like you're at the funeral of a great man, but you're at the wedding for great people. It's just that's an emotional tornado.
That's right.
I'm not ready for it.
I love it. So I like to cut it open and just be nice and pink and juicy inside.
Oh yeah, that thing could just run off the table.
Yeah.
That could just run off the table.
And this thing
is... That cow still talks. That's a talking cow. That thing still moves. That's how you know. That's incredible. And then you eat it, or do you carry it around in your pocket for a week or two, or what do you do? What's your...
Well, you go right to the dinner table with this bad boy and you eat it.
Well, that's the final step, folks. You eat until morale improves. Thank you, James. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Clay.
Thank
you, Keith.
Thank you, Keith, for inspiring this video.
No one's better than Keith.
Crawdaddy Keith, baby. Crawdaddy's Keith to Larry, California.
You got to go there.
Boom. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mariah Joey Havana. Happy birthday to you. Woo! Blow out the candles. Blow out the candles. Blow them out. Nice, nice. Okay. Here we go. This song goes out to my main man, Keith. I met him up in Tulare. He's the owner of Crawdaddy's. Wouldn't shut down during the quarantines. Like a real American, he's rocking those jeans. Owns a restaurant and he sings. Every single minute is karaoke. Makes his own wine like Devin Nunes. Crawdaddy's is what it's called. Got enough food for all of y'all. For all of y'all? For all of y'all. Yes. Oh yes, it's time to rise and grind. Oh yes, before the rooster crows. Oh yes, it's time to rise and grind. Oh yes. All right, we're here with Devin Nunes. Devin, what's the name of the restaurant we're at here, sir?
Crawdaddy's. We're at Crawdaddy's in Visalia.
Crawdaddy's.
Come early. They have the second floor. It's quiet. If you just want to have a quiet dinner, they have great food here. Stay for the music afterwards.
Folks, it's going to be a blasty blast. It's called Crawdaddy's. And what city are we in again, sir?
Visalia, California.
What was it?
Oh, it was a 10 out of 10. I had the lobster. There was steak there, chicken. Whatever you get, you're going to love it.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Okay, Aaron Antis, March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, guess who's coming to Tulsa, Jerusalem?
Ooh, Santa Claus?
No, that's March. March 6th and 7th, we're going to be joined by Robert Kiyosaki.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Probably the best-selling, or one of the best-selling business authors of all time. And he's going to be joined with Eric Trump. He'll be joined by Eric Trump. So we got Eric Trump and Robert Kiyosaki in the same place.
In the same place.
Aaron, why should everybody show up to hear Robert Kiyosaki?
Well, you got billions of dollars of business experience between those two, not to mention many, many, many millions of books have been sold. Many, many millionaires have been made from the books that have been sold by Robert Kiyosaki. I happen to be one of them. I learned from the man. He was the inspiration. That book was the inspiration for me to get the entrepreneurial spirit, as many other people.
Now, since you won't brag on yourself, I will. You've sold billions of dollars of houses, am I correct?
That is true.
And the book that kickstarted it all for you,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the author, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, the guy that kickstarted your career.
Yeah.
He's going to be here.
He's going to be here. I'm pumped.
And now Eric Trump, people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States and soon to be the 47th president of these United States, he needed someone to run the companies for him. And so the man that runs the Trump organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees, is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint.
Right.
I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it, and we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
Now, think about this for a second. Would you buy a ticket just to see Robert Kiyosaki and Eric Trump? Of course you would.
Of course you would.
But we're also going to be joined by Sean Baker. This is the best-selling author, the guy who invented the carnivore diet.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Sean Baker. He's been on Joe Rogan multiple times. He's going to be joining us. So you've got Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Eric Trump, Sean Baker. The lineup continues to grow, and this is how we do our tickets here at the Thrivetime Show. If you want to get a VIP ticket, you can absolutely do it. It's $500 for a VIP ticket. We've always done it that way. Now, if you want to take a general admission ticket, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why we do that, is because we want to make our events affordable for everybody. I grew up without money. I totally understand what it's like to be in a tight spot. So if you want to attend, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. That's how I do it. And it's $500 for a VIP ticket. Now, we only have limited seating here. With the most people we've ever had in this building was for the Jim Brewer presentation. Jim Brewer came here, the legendary comedian Jim Brewer came to Tulsa, and we had 419 people that were here. 419 people.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, there's no more room. I felt kind of bad that if a couple people had VIP seats in the men's restroom. No, I'm just kidding. But I thought, you know what, we should probably add on. So we're adding on what we call the upper deck, or the top shelf. So the seats are very close to the presenters, but we're actually building right now. We're adding on to the facility to make room to accommodate about another 30 attendees or more. So again, if you want to get tickets for this event, all you have to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll go there, you'll request a ticket, boom. Or if you want to text me, if you want a little bit faster service, you say, I want you to call me right now. Just text my number. It's my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. We'll keep that private between you, me, everybody. We'll keep that private. In anybody. Don't share that with anybody except for everybody. That's my private cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102. 918-851-0102. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people that attend these conferences, and to be bilingually sensitive, my cell phone number is 918-851-0102.
That is not actually bilingual. That's just saying Juan for a one. It's not the same thing.
I think you're attacking me. Now, let's talk about this. Now, what kind of stuff will you learn at the Thrivetime Show workshop? So, Aaron, you've been to many of these over the past 7-8 years. So let's talk about it. I'll tee up the thing, and then you tell me what you're going to learn here, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
You're going to learn marketing and branding. What are we going to learn about marketing and branding?
Oh, yeah. We're going to dive into, so many people say, I got to get my brand known out there, like the Trump brand, right? You want to get that brand out there. It's like, how do I actually make people know what my business is and make it a household name? You're going to learn some intricacies of how you can do that.
You're going to learn sales. So many people struggle to sell something. This just in, your business will go to hell if you can't sell. So we're going to teach you sales. We're going to teach you search engine optimization, how to come up top in the search engine results. We're going to teach you how to manage people. Aaron, you have managed, no exaggeration, hundreds of people throughout your career and thousands of contractors. And most people struggle with managing people. Why does everybody have to learn how to manage people?
Well, because first of all, you either have great people or you have people who suck. And so it can be a challenge. Learning how to work with a large group of people and get everybody pulling in the same direction can be a challenge. But if you have the right systems, you have the right processes, and you're really good at selecting great ones, and we have a process we teach about how to find great people. When you start with the people who have a great attitude, they're teachable, they're driven, all of those things, then, you can get those people all pulling in the same direction.
So we're going to teach you branding, marketing, sales, search engine optimization. We're going to teach you accounting. We're going to teach you personal finance, how to manage your finance. We're going to teach you time management. How do you manage your time? How do you get more done during a typical day? How do you build an organization if you're not organized? How do you do organization? How do you build an org chart? Everything that you need to know to start and grow a business will be taught during this 2-day interactive business workshop. Now, let me tell you how the format is set up here. And again, folks, this is a 2-day interactive 15. Think about this, folks. It's 2 days. Each day it starts at 7 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. The way we do it is we do a 30-minute teaching session, and then we break for 15 minutes for a question and answer session. So, Aaron, what kind of great stuff happens during that 15-minute question and answer session after every teaching session?
I actually think it's the best part about the workshops, because here's what happens. I've been to lots of these things over the years. I've paid many thousands of dollars to go to them. And you go in there and they talk in vague generalities, and they're constantly upselling you for something, trying to get you to buy this thing or that thing or this program or this membership. And you leave not getting your very specific questions answered about your business or your employees or what you're doing on your marketing. And what's awesome about this is we literally answer every single question that any person asks, and it's very specific to what your business is.
And what we do is we allow you as the attendee to write your questions on the whiteboard.
Yep.
And then we literally, as you mentioned, we answer every single question on the whiteboard. And then we take a 15-minute break to stretch and to make it entertaining when you're stretching. And this is a true story. When you get up and stretch, you'll be greeted by mariachis. There's going to probably be alpaca here, llamas, helicopter rides, a coffee bar, a snow cone. There's just...
You had a crocodile one time. That was pretty interesting.
You know, I should write that down and actually do that.
Sorry for that one guy that we lost.
The crocodile, we duct taped its face so that we duct taped.
No, it was a baby crocodile.
And it was duct tape.
Yeah, duct tape around the mouth so it didn't bite anybody. But it was really cool passing that thing around and
I should do that. We have a small petting zoo that will be assembled. It's going to be great. And then you're in the company of hundreds of entrepreneurs. So there's not a lot of people in America today. In fact, there's less than 10 million people today, according to U.S. Debt Clock, that identify as being self-employed. So if you have a country with 350 million people, that means you have less than 3% of our population that's even self-employed. Yeah. So you only have 3 out of every 100 people in America that are self-employed to begin with. And when Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail by default, you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance of succeeding in the game of business.
It's tough.
But yet the average client that you and I work with, we can typically double this. And this is no hyperbole, no exaggeration. And I have thousands of testimonials to back this up. We have thousands of testimonials to back it up. But when you work with a home builder, when I work with a business owner, we can typically double the size of the company within 24 months.
Yeah.
Double. And you say double? Yeah, there's businesses that we have tripled. There's businesses we've grown 8x. There's so many examples you can see at thrivetimeshow.com. But again, this is the most interactive, best business workshop on the planet. This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet. And then you add to that Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You add to that Eric Trump, the man that runs the Trump Organization. You add to that Sean Baker. Now you might say, but Clay, is there more? I need more. Well, okay, Tom Wheelwright is the wealth strategist for Robert Kiyosaki. So people say, Robert Kiyosaki, who's his financial wealth advisor? Who's the guy who manages, who's his wealth strategist? His wealth strategist, Tom Wheelwright, will be here. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And Jill Donovan, our good friend, who is the founder of Rustic Cuff. She started that company in her home, and now she sells millions of dollars of apparel and products. That's rusticcuff.com. And someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma, and nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns what do you call that? The rental,
storage space,
storage units. This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily
I know who
basis,
you're talking about.
but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event. Again, the day here is March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, we just got confirmation. Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he'll be here. Eric Trump, the man who leads the Trump organization. It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin.
Oh.
You think that's going to change your life? I promise you, this will be 10 times better than that.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. I mean, it is life changing. It is life changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right,
Like,
not
I mean,
really.
So
So if you're looking to have life changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you, it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.